Okay, Doug, for starters, I have to welcome you to my podcast. I feel like the first time I met you, I was in shorts and flip-flops, and now you're seeing the professional version of me. So let me start off by just welcoming you. I'm so excited to have this conversation.
Thank you, Mindy. Yeah, it's a pleasure. I know the first time you came kind of undercover on the farm, I didn't quite know, who you were. I'm so honored to be here. And for me, I'm actually, off the farm today. So this is a little different. I'm traveling.
Yeah.
So it's been a while. I haven't left the island in a year. So
Oh,
it's
wow.
been quite some time. So thank you.
Do you feel like a fish out of water?
Certainly my antenna is very sensitive. That's for sure.
Yeah, I bet. To go from such a peaceful place to chaos, I can't even imagine. So here's where I want to start this conversation, because there's so much that I want my audience to understand about your products, what you're up to. But I think your story is really fascinating because so many people are starting to understand it's time to slow down. So talk little bit about how you went from a high-stressed life to being a regenerative farmer on Kauai.
So that was quite some time ago. I used to do private equity real estate, finance stuff in my 20s. So that was early 2000s. And I left that world when I was 30. Not sure what I was going to do. I definitely wanted to change, wanted to see what else was out there. And then we had our first child. And my wife and I, Jenna, who we both owned together, Kauai Farmacy, and founded it together. We went to Kauai really to find just a journey, and we were definitely in a healing space for sure. We were both challenged. I was 30 pounds heavier than I am now. And my wife had some challenges with her birth, our firstborn. And we wanted to just tap into something new and also really take responsibility for our health. That was important to us. So as that idea of taking responsibility came to fruition, I mean, Kauai was the place that had all this medicine. I mean, we traveled to Hawaii, and when we got there, yeah, this medicine was being put in front of us. And we first started with noni leaf, and we were kind of putting it on our skin and making tea with it, and realizing just, wow, this powerful leaf, so profound in its healing attributes. And we didn't know such medicine existed. It was new for us. I mean, I thought all medicine came in a bottle. So yeah, so this leaf, we would just put it in water and heat it up and make tea out of it. And we just started there. And the slowing down process, honestly, it was quite the unwinding, and still is. It's been 15 years on island. We did a lot of work, and the first 12-ish years were more in the physical space, for me at least. And I cleaned out a lot of the toxicity that was in my physical being, whether it be the Wonder Bread from my childhood, or so much of the other foods that I had gobbled up during my life at that time. And then the last few years, the slowing down process became as much about just realizing activity, this idea of being more and doing less, really, is the idea, or higher production and lower consumption, right? So what does that mean? And really leaning into that concept, because that's where the power is for me. That's where that's how to, because slowing down, it can be elusive. Your mind can go, your mind can go the other way.
And explain that a little bit more, because I can tell you for my own self that I'm very cognizant of the fact that I need to start to slow down. And even in some small little way, every time I do it, I feel like every cell in my body says, speed up, stop sitting on the couch, stop slowing down. Like, I think our nervous systems become so conditioned to this modern world that slowing down actually feels like torture. So how did you manage the feelings that came as you were slowing down?
Yeah. So slowing down is, yeah, not an ideal description of the truth of it. It's really alignment, right?
Mm,
That's really what we're trying to find. That's what we're seeking is alignment. And, you know, we're seeking alignment really with the universe, and then within.
yep.
The slowing down is more of like you know, that's like the punishment part. That's the pain and suffering. And you really,
Mm,
ideally, you avoid it. You know, you can, you know, transcend the slowing down and work yourself into alignment. So
yeah.
yeah, because like I said, the slowing down can be a lot of pain and suffering.
Yeah.
So you don't really,
So
because you don't really know, you know, you don't really know what to do. So the question is how, you know, getting into alignment, you're refining your energies, right? You're refining your physical, mental, emotional, and energetic being so that it's in
mm,
alignment with the universe. And as you do that, it feels like slowing down is the same thing as speeding up, and everything is
mm.
ideally, you know, joyful, if you will. And you're able to take on the biggest tasks of the day and also get rest when rest is, you know, is calling.
Yeah. I love that the slowing down feels like speeding up because it does. It really, I mean, and I'm only at the beginning of learning how to do this. So talk to me a little bit about this idea around plants being medicine because, and how that ties into the slowing down. Because I'll just tell you what I saw when I was on your farm. I definitely saw many blissful individuals, not just you, but everybody there seemed to have just a peace and joy about them. There was something magical when I got out of my car that I could smell all these smells coming from the plants that you have on your farm. You could feel a vibrational shift in the air. And I've heard you say this many times. I've heard you say it today. I've heard you say it when I was on your farm that the medicine, that this is medicine. And so talk a little bit about how you went from this high stressed life to the Kauai farm to using the plants to start to heal your body. What is it about plants that we can use to help in the healing that we need to have from our modern rushing lifestyle?
Big question.
It is big.
Because
I know.
there's so much to the plants at the same time. It's the simplicity, right? It's this
Mm,
that we're after. So it's like
mm,
you know, words like cleansing, detoxing are certainly there, but also, you know, words like life force and circulation are also part of the plant medicine. So
mm-hmm.
um, there's no linear aspect of it. It encompasses all that Mother Nature has to offer at the same time. You know, it's holistic. It's, you know, it's oneness in its delivery. So like you're accessing all the powers of Mother Nature, the full spectrum rainbow, right? So, you know, orange turmeric and red chili peppers and cacao, you know, magnesium and all the different vitamins and minerals and nutrients in the ground that aren't really accessible to human beings right now. Those rare spices and herbs that created the spice wars of yesteryear and the Spice Islands and the Spice War, all of that. You know, even the Indian Tea and Spice Company, basically the birth of global capitalism was birthed
Mm,
on the back of herbs and spices. And so people were after this life force. And today that life force has gotten homogenized, it's gotten
mm,
fertilized, it's gotten, you know, stale, old. And so people look at herbal medicine as I did growing up and said, that's not going to work. That's not going to work.
right,
Because it doesn't.
right,
Because it doesn't.
right.
Like but if you take the intention, and it's as simple as backyard gardening, you know, I mean, certainly on Kauai, we're going to deliver another level of vitamins and minerals. It's going to be kind of, you know, beyond the level you could do elsewhere, just given the soil and the air and the water. But in any case, freshness, intention, what you can do in your backyard gardens with herbs like mint and lemon balm, just drinking those plants every day, lavender, so many. I mean, if you look at the herbs they used in the most powerful empires in the world, whether it be Greece, the Roman Empire, India, Africa, all during those times. What did those cultures? How were those cultures raised to have massive populations? And their medicine cabinet, thousands and thousands of years, was plant medicine, and it was fresh plant medicine, and it was plant medicine that was highly sought after and honored. So how do we use it to to heal? Like I said, the cleansing aspect, no question. I mean, this is pure alkalinity. So where most bodies are acidic, and the acidity causes, another word for toxicity, that acidity builds in the body and forms all kinds of problems, right? Inflammation inevitably becomes tumors, and inevitably becomes cancers, all, and that's what they are. It's basically toxic food. And so the herbs, they come into the body, the beautiful colors, and just like a beautiful river attracts beautiful birds, these beautiful herbs come into the body, and they clean, an otherwise polluted self. Or if the body's clean, they'll help, resonate and magnify an already beautiful being with more colors of the rainbow. And again, beautiful vitamins and minerals.
I love this word life force, because I think it's really key to what you have created there. So would you say that when we're looking at the modern world, we're looking at the toxic food, the toxic thoughts, the toxic lifestyle, it's depleting the life force. But when we come to plants and herbs, what we're doing is we're rebuilding the life force in the body. But what I've heard you say many times, and why I think herbal medicine gets discredited, is that the life force of these plants comes from the soil. So if the soil is depleted and doesn't have enough nourishment and energy and life force in it, what they're growing out of that is going to be depleted, which is perhaps why your products work so well. And the best way that I could explain it in my own personal use is those darn black peppercorns you gave me. That almost one peppercorn lit my mouth on fire. I had never tasted a peppercorn like that. So is it that herbal medicine doesn't get enough credit right now because what we have access to is a weaker energy source than what you're growing on Kauai Farm?
Yeah, no question. I mean, like I said, we talked about the spice wars before. They traveled 18 months to 2 years. Christopher Columbus would travel from, Spain to the Spice Islands and lose 100 men over a 2-year period and come back with black pepper. Why did he do that?
Yeah.
That's not what's on the table today. He did that because he was going after life-saving medicine. And if you look at the numbers, I mean, I don't really love to get into this, but it's got to be said. The spread between the money we invest in our plant medicine cabinet, true plant medicine, and what we invest in so many other industries, but let's just call it pharmaceuticals for now because it's the most relatable, is just massive, right? You're talking like here's this little, I wouldn't even call herbal medicine an industry. I wouldn't even call it it gets no money. There's no support. Yeah. So you have people in Vermont, you have people in New Hampshire, people in Seattle holding it down. San Francisco, outside of San Francisco, they're holding it down, the herbalism trade. Why? To take care of their families, take care of, their communities. But as far as, and as far as a culture, right, the American culture, the Western culture, our investment we're not vested in herbal medicine. There's
No, we're
there's
not.
no vestment.
Yeah.
So not being
Yeah.
vested, having no knowledge of, having no experience of, is just it's such a big part, and changing that story, rewriting that story, the new
Yeah.
the new narrative. That's what needs to happen. And what happens is, foundationally, you've changed every molecule in your body, because the alkalinity this is radical alkalinity. So yeah, when you get to pH 7.2, and you're this beautiful spring water, and you can ease and grace through life, then that's great. You can eat salads and soups, and you're cruising. But before that, how do you interrupt a toxic diet? It's like, it's easy for me to rah, you got to stop eating that food. But it's like, well, you've been feeding me this food since the day you gave me the milk.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Right
So well
out.
said.
You've been giving me this toxicity, and now you're telling me 50 years later, I got to stop? I'm hooked.
Yes.
So the radical alkalinity of herbal medicine comes in, and I can tell you, it comes in, the genius of it. It comes in as softly and gently as you would like, and that's the brilliance of it. And as it comes in so gently, you can drink a half a cup, you can brew it strong, you can brew it light, you can sprinkle a little bit on your food, you can sprinkle a lot on your food. What's the worst that can happen? You detox a little more, you detox a little less. The side effects are a little headache. That's kind of the way it rolls. It's not, the side effects do not have to be told on a commercial. That's not the type of side effects they were talking about.
Oh, so well said. That was so well said.
Yeah. So in any case, that's where herbal medicine holds the key. Is it's foundational in its radical alkalinity, and that alkalinity is inevitably what's going to move the acidity in the body to a pH that is more in balance. It's more in balance with the universe and with everyday health.
Yeah, that's so well said. Just so our listeners know, can you explain what alkalinity is and why it's so important for the body, just so we make sure everybody's on the same page?
So the way I understand it, and I'm not a chemist, but a spring water would be most spring water would be a little over 7. We're 72% water, the body. And so we want to be spring water. I don't want to be dirty, polluted water, right? Polluted water is probably like, it's acidic. So it's 3 or 2 or 1. If you throw, if you take and again, these are general numbers. I don't know what the acidity of polluted water is, but a polluted human being would have a lot of pollution in them and have a lot of acidity in them. And, the acid foods that are out there is the synthetic sugars, if I don't need to go down that list. But in any case, so now you have alkalinity. So it's pH. pH is 0 to 14. It's the base is 7 to 14. That's alkaline. 0 to 7 is acid. 7 is right in the middle. We're shooting, I believe, and don't quote me on this, we're sort of shooting for a low 7s in the body. Yeah. And again, it's to move like water, right? Again, we're 72% water, we're like 12% Mother Earth, so 12% food. And that combination takes up 84% of our body. The rest is air, space, and fire. And those are the 5 elements. And so with those 5 elements, we're looking to mimic Mother Earth, really, and stay clean and beautiful. I mean, we want to be like Kauai, right?
Right.
That's what.
Yes, we all want to be like Kauai. We don't want to be like New York City. We want to be like Kauai.
Right. I mean, we can just transcend New York City and throw rainbows all over New York City too.
That's true.
So it all works. It can all work, and it's just a question of taking the right steps.
I really like this idea of looking at our toxic lifestyle, whether it's physical, emotional, chemical toxins, as polluting our body. So you're now in a polluted state, which puts you more in this acidic state, which, every cancer researcher, every chronic disease comes from this acidic state. So that, I love the terminology around that, because I think we don't give enough credit to the damage that toxic living can do to our health. And we don't give enough credit to the power of bringing the body back into alkalinity. So when we look at the plants on your farm, and you're dealing with a polluted body, what is our first door in? And I know you have a lot of amazing products, but how do we begin the journey from acidity, pollution, to alkalinity, peace, and health within the body?
So our farm grows over. So the name of our farm is Kauai Farmacy. We have 4 acres. We have about 20 people working on the farm. So gardeners, people crafting, so alchemists, and then people educating and doing fulfillment. We do everything from the farm. We started with the farm growing a small blend, like a blend of 5 different herbs. And it was our first product. It was called Wellness Tea. We called it Wellness Tea. And it still exists today. And it's 5 basic herbs. And these, what we do is it's not revolutionary by any means. It's avant-garde relative to what's been going on the last 50 years. But, the ancients were doing this, in their backyards. So, it's happening all over America in backyards as well, which is taking herbs that they've been using all over the world: ginger, turmeric, lemongrass, tulsi. Those are the 4 basic herbs that we believe should be in your diet every single day. And so what are those doing? Lemongrass we use, 98% of the world's lemongrass is used for house cleaners, as a house cleaner, and you couldn't source really good lemongrass. So that just shows you how backwards the Western world is that we're spraying wet lemongrass on our floor, yet we should be drinking it. And yet in Thailand, it's in breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Lemongrass.
Interesting.
Breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Interesting.
So.
And what does it do?
So
what does lemongrass
do? It's cleaning.
It's cleansing.
It's cleansing. And listen, this is not about, the detox is like emergency, right? Like I know you talk a lot about fasting, and ideally we get to a place, and I know you talk about stages where we're fasting from a place of innate way. It's like that's what's comfortable for us. And the same thing goes with things like lemongrass. They're in our food every day, and then as a result, we're cleaning every day. We don't have to cleanse. We don't have to detox, right? That's a lot of pain and suffering. I'd rather
a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot. And so we keep going. Lemongrass. So turmeric. Really, sourcing the right turmeric. Kauai grows amazing turmeric. Knowing where you get your turmeric from is key. All different levels of quality there. So it's really going to help reduce inflammation, increase your immune system. In India, they use it for makeup, for the skin, to keep the mosquitoes away. So it's renowned as a second skin. In India, they have malaria there, so it's important. These are masks. These are protective items. So immune system is not this esoteric concept. It's an immune. You put a second skin on your body, right? So as you eat the turmeric, you don't worry about things like radiation. They don't affect you because the turmeric's inside you, right? They don't
protecting you.
Yeah. And it's like, I don't like the radiation. No. Just eat the turmeric, and you won't even be thinking about the radiation. It's not there, because you are building your immune system in real time. So that's turmeric. And again, the anti-inflammatory aspects of turmeric, healing in my opinion, every physical ailment manifests through inflammation. So, like when I eat inflammatory foods, I can feel it in my hot spots, right? So I have a little shoulder thing. So if I eat a little, inflammatory food, my shoulder just feels a little tight. And if I keep eating those foods, I will continue to tighten up my shoulder to the point where it'll begin to numb, and then it'll begin to grow, like we talked about, cysts or tumors or all kinds of stuff. And we begin to get numb from the feeling, which started,
So true.
started as a small little inflammatory food. And so,
Yep.
moving forward to ginger's all about that fire, metabolism, really helping. We talked about less consumption, more production. Ginger really is all about that. Really, a lot of people are overweight and they can't even get on a treadmill, or they can't go for a run. They can't exercise. They have ailments. They might be too, older. So the ginger is going to work for you, right? It's going to burn. It's going to burn. And integrating that ginger in, so it's also in this wellness tea. These herbs are in almost all of our teas: ginger, turmeric, lemongrass, and the fourth one is Tulsi. Tulsi, or holy basil, is an herb that they've been using in India for thousands of years, and I'm although I have experience with it, people have much more knowledge of Tulsi than me. But it's been such an honor to grow and utilize this plant for awareness, really. Awareness. So it helps with the breath. It helps with opening up the respiratory system, becoming aware of your digestive tract, and what's healing for you. I drank a Tulsi tea. One of the first blends I made was Tulsi. My wife and I were on this property that had a beautiful herb garden, and I was making a sage lemon balm Tulsi mint tea, and the Tulsi was so profound in this tea, and I could feel my awareness to like who I was, what was happening to me. I mean, I was 30 pounds heavier. My son was, running circles around me. I was 36 years old, and it was like, what is going on? Like, where is this?
Wow.
Where is this headed? And I was drinking the tea, and the Tulsi was just so profound in its wake-up call. It was such a wake-up call for me, spiritually speaking, and it was just like it was the beginning. It was the first door to open for me in the spiritual realm. Yet so gentle in its ways, and it's one of those herbs that's like, when I say awareness, like, how does it relate to health? Well, you walk into a cold room and you put a jacket on, or you have to go to the bathroom, so you don't hold it for, an hour or two. Like, or you're thirsty and you take a drink of water. All those things that, like, the awareness of them, sometimes the consciousness, and next thing you know, it's 2 days gone by and you haven't had a sip of water. And at one point you were on it, you were conscious about it.
Right.
Now all of a sudden 2 days go by, or you haven't rested, or you haven't slowed down, or those things haven't happened. So the Tulsi really helps solidify that awareness, and having Tulsi tea on the daily is critical. So that wellness tea, and again, across all our teas, you'll basically find ginger, turmeric, lemongrass, and Tulsi. And then in the superfood category, like we have a curry powder that's the base of the curry powder is ginger, turmeric, and that has also kaffir lime, nioi, which is a Hawaiian chili pepper, and the curry leaf. And you just sprinkle that on your foods, and again, that's going to help bring that ginger and turmeric into your daily. So you have this beautiful culinary spice that really, richens up every meal. And next thing you know, you're getting your anti-inflammatories, you're getting your, your metabolism, digestive enzymes, all those things happening. So how to start? I think, from our farm, you can't really go wrong. There's a lot of blogs that we have going on our website, a lot of videos on YouTube that we have going, and drinking tea, putting it in the fridge as iced tea, putting our superfoods, our endurance powder with our ashwagandha, having that in your smoothie. You'll just see a different level. I mean, I don't know of many, if any, superfoods that you can access, the source, and that's got to change. That's got to change. I'm proud to say that we you can access the source with us, but there needs to be more sources like us.
Yeah, and I can tell you just from being on your farm, like after a couple hours there, when we left, we literally felt different. And my husband and I were trying to figure out what it was. And there was also whatever that was coming off of the plants. There was a smell or like some molecule of healing that was coming off these plants. It was just something I had never experienced before. So talk a little bit, and I really don't want people to lose this because I watch so many people go down the herbal medicine path only to be disappointed. Why can't I listen to a podcast like this and just rush out and get some organic curry powder at Whole Foods and sprinkle it on my food and expect the same healing result? Does it have to do with the soils in which it's grown in? Does it have to do with small batch versus large batch? Like how do we navigate whether something's just a really intense version of perhaps an old spice we're used to using? How do we know the difference between a healing spice and one that may be more generic?
Yeah, it's a wild concept, and I can't tell you that I truly understand. I'm going to kind of default to a little bit of ignorance here because I don't really understand that industry except for the experience that I have with as it relates to cinnamon and black pepper and things like that you can get in abundance, stevia. I just look at those and see I don't feel any medicine in any of those.
Yeah.
And I haven't for quite some time. So, but I think if I step back for a moment and just appreciate what it takes to heal oneself and eat nourishing foods. We all have professions, and we approach our professions with such diligence and such commitment and such professionalism. It's just incredible. The commitment that we have to our professions, to how we keep our home, to the cleanliness of our cars, the cars we drive. I mean, it goes on and on and on. But when it comes to the way we approach our food, there's this level of lax.
Yeah, so well said.
And we choose to not cross our T's and dot our I's. But like a B- or a B+ is not acceptable on our English paper. But it's totally cool. It's totally cool to put a B- in our mouth.
So well said.
Right? It's totally okay.
Yes.
It's actually, in fact, like live a little bit. Have a D.
Right.
Have a D and an F.
Wouldn't that be interesting? You just actually got me thinking, wouldn't that be interesting if we had some kind of health rating like that on every food? Oof. So that you could be like, hey, this is an F in health. You might like the taste of it, but just know it's scored an F. Like, would that change? Because we're so success driven, we're so grade driven. Like, would that change the way people would approach food? It's a really interesting thought.
So, and then the premise of just, okay, so, and the why, right? F doesn't feel good. People know they're eating the bad food. They don't need an F to tell them that they're eating the bad food. So now the question is the why, and it's like, well, because the good food's gonna make you feel good, and how do you trust that? And how do you trust the process? And what's the outcome and the fulfillment, right? The fulfillment of your life, right? That you get to enjoy your life and then potentially explore other dimensions even, and really make the best of this journey. So, I mean, that's the why. And so when you mention the A to F, it's kind of funny because on one end, I'm sure a lot of people would not appreciate that. It's like,
no,
it's kind of serious. And it's like, but at the same time, the seriousness is kind of moving into a place in which you start to respect yourself more, right? Because
so well said.
Because the truth of it is you're disrespecting yourself when you eat those foods and drink that liquid, and then you're hiding in a space of, lack of a better word, in the party space, right? And you party only to have a crash later. And as you get older, there's no avoiding the crash. The crash has become, it's like the binges become shorter because you can't access them for you can go on longer binges when you're younger. Um, and so,
Yeah,
so the
agreed.
lessons become shorter, and then it's like, why am I even doing this? It's only a 1-day binge, and I get nothing out of it. Um, so in any case, yeah, the idea is that you're able to create that foundation in which you can bring in those experiences on a consistent basis, and they add onto themselves, and the A like, living, right?
Yeah.
There can be some B pluses, lots of lessons all over the place, always, right?
Oh, yeah.
Nothing.
But
Go on.
I think the way you explain this is really beautiful, because I believe as we age, our cells, not our mind or our spirit, but our cells become less tolerant of the abuse. And so what they do is they give you more fatigue, they give you more cravings, they give you more anxiety in your brain. And all of that is just a cry from your cells to stop physically, emotionally, chemically toxifying them. And so you really bring up a really interesting point where I think we have to look at the wisdom of aging as when you have these aches and pains in your body, when you're not, your mind isn't at that performance level, it's just your cells saying, enough. I can't handle it anymore. You've got to do something different. And I can tell you with women that as we get over 40, we don't have that neurochemical armor of estrogen, progesterone that used to protect us. And so our cells are just so exposed, which is why I'm so intrigued as a 53-year-old woman by products like yours, because it feels like cellular healing. So talk a little bit. I know you've used a lot of products on women, a lot of products on women going through the menopausal journey. How can we start to use some of the herbs that you've grown, the plants that you've grown, to bring not only cellular healing back, but to bring some balance to our hormones and maybe even our neurotransmitters back into balance as we move through our 40s and 50s?
So, we bought the farm. So obviously, my approach to plant medicine's somewhat, it's all about abundance, right? I want to bathe in it. I want to immerse myself fully in plant medicine. And
I love it.
as I immerse myself, like I don't just like put a little thing on my wrist when my wrist hurts. If my wrist hurts, I douse, my finger to my shoulder with, the finest oil that I can find. Um, and as I move forward through the plant medicine, I just trust so much, because you learn how amazing it is, and the trust and the wisdom that's within the plants, and the information. So we're drinking the tea, consistently. We're sprinkling the spices on our foods. We're putting them in our smoothies. We're using the salves. We have a botanical body butter that's just beautiful. We have a Comfrey salve.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it's got cacao.
It's really good.
in
I
it.
can attest to that.
Yeah,
Yes.
using Kauai beeswax. I mean, using macadamia oil. Those, like, really understanding where your medicine's coming from, and then when you get the goods, not hoarding it, using it, using it on your body, like learning how to treat yourself, learning how to, not play the victim, not rely on others, massaging yourself, right? Massaging your feet on the daily, really practicing, self-care and self-love in, in order to build that respect, that self-respect up. And as you build that self-respect up, and as you build that, practice, in fact, it just becomes easier, and your body actually requires less. But certainly,
Yeah.
Women in their 40s and 50s, and having children, certainly, lack of village-like communities that the Western world has been experiencing. There's been a tremendous amount of pressure put on women, in my opinion, that ends up becoming an extremely challenging mental and physical experience after, once the children are born, because of the lack of village and community that
Yeah.
exists in our culture.
Whew.
It's just, it's a topic I have a tough time
It's
discussing.
deep. Yeah.
So now it's, for women, it's about, in my opinion, building that self-respect back up, because they had to let go of so much.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so well said. So one interesting thing, after we left your farm, the next day, I think we had told you that we were staying at the one hotel, and I went to get a massage, and they were using all your products. And there was a whole bunch of oils that they used in the massage. But when I got done with the massage, I was sitting on the beach, and I had this thought in my head, which was, I think I am the most relaxed I may have ever been in my entire life. Every cell in my body felt at peace. And so I actually went back to the spa, and I was like, what did you rub on me? And this is my favorite product of yours. And I want to talk about how I've used it, because I think it's really revolutionary in its use. And that's your Kaava Serum. And so what I've done with the Kaava Serum, and I can tell you as a 53-year-old woman, is I actually rub it on my sacrum at night before I go to bed, because the sacrum is the root of the parasympathetic nervous system. And it has been a major tool in helping me sleep throughout the menopausal journey, which so many women struggle. So talk a little bit about when we put something topical, as opposed to breathing, smelling something, as opposed to drinking something, is that when I drank Kaava for a long time. What is it about topical versus ingesting it that's different?
Yeah, so it's a great topic and question. We just drive so much of our nutrition, toxicity, medicine, all of it comes through our organs. And it's like, bleh, it's like so much on our liver and gallbladder and pancreas and stomach. And it's just a lot. And so when we have to address an acute issue, to address it through the organs becomes really taxing on your mental and emotional health. So if you can address an acute issue, for you, it sounds like potentially it's a sleep or restoration, a restoration concept, and you can do it without having to go through your mouth, which is what we all immediately do. Take a pill or take a drink of something. It's all like, I can only fix myself if I put it through my mouth. But once you realize your third lung is your skin, and it's the largest organ in the body, and you realize it through profound medicine, right? That's how you learn. Or jumping in a epically cold spring, like a beautiful spring or waterfall that'll literally detox you from the outside in. And you can do it through meditation and breath work too. When you realize that you are this pulsating being, and the idea that you can take in medicine through your skin, assuming that the medicine is on point, right? So then we're talking about a whole nother dimension of relationship between plants and people. When you can access plant medicine through your skin, it's just a whole nother dimension. So that's an amazing feat, and you've realized that feat. I remember one time I was taking, we pressed at the early days of the farm, we pressed a bunch of juice out of the herbs, and I didn't know what to do with it. We didn't really have customers. So I was just drinking it, and all of a sudden I'm just like, oh, this like soursop juice and ginger juice and turmeric juice, and my organs were just so taxed from detoxing. And so I started rubbing, all this juice was going bad, so I started rubbing all over my body, just bathing in like herb juice, all different kinds of herb juice. And I could feel my different organs react to the herb juice coming in from the outside of my body. I would rub it on my shoulder and I could feel my colon. And so
Amazing.
I learned how they reacted to one another, but it wasn't this direct, it's like putting, it's like putting something on your skin, but then also you got to put it internally, or vice versa. Instead of taking it internally, you're putting it on your skin, and there's just different ways, gentler ways to treat. And what you're doing with that kava, I mean, kava grows, it takes 3 years to grow kava. And
Oh, wow.
that's what's in that oil that you have. So we infuse it over a 3-day process at a very low heat, 140-ish degrees, in this macadamia nut oil that is just luxury and so medicinal in its own right. And so the kava going in is extremely grounding, and it, to me, I think that's what you're feeling, is how grounding the kava is. And what the serum does, as opposed to taking it internally, where it, that kava will go, in my opinion, goes right to your head. But it also goes to your body. I mean, kava is known to address the physical body in a kind of, in a more profound way, and leave the mind alone for the most part. But then as you drink more and more, which I find happens a lot of times when you drink kava, you end up drinking more and more. It does start to seep into the mind. So with the serum, which is amazing, is it stays in the body and grounds. And it's amazing that you're tapping it into the way you are, because and again, it's all about the gentleness, because the gentleness is what allows for the sustainability of it, right? Because now you can use it every night or every day or once a week, whatever you choose. It's all about sustainability. You want this stuff integrating, right? You don't want a one-time fix, because that doesn't work. You want integration, right?
Yeah. And you're kind of bringing your body back into homeostasis. And I think that's what we are missing in treating symptomatology, is all symptoms are is a body out of balance. So what I've heard is a general theme, not only in what you're saying today, but what I heard when I was on Kauai, was that we're bringing the body back into balance using plants to do that. So, there's always a gentleness in that. Whereas a lot of detoxing is still a lot of extreme energy that's pushing toxins out. That's not what I'm witnessing from being on your farm and actually using your products. Is it just feels more like a gentle hug that brings you back into balance. And I love that and appreciate that. It feels really nurturing. And the one thought I had that you've said a couple of times, I just want to make sure, because I didn't know the answer to this, is why the bottoms of the feet? I hear a lot of people say, put stuff on the bottoms of your feet. What is it? Is it the reflexology points? What is it about the bottoms of the feet? Because I haven't tried kava there. And I'm actually thinking I'm going to carry this product now with me when I travel to ground me. And I'm wondering if on the bottoms of the feet to kind of ground me in the new place that I'm at.
Yeah, I mean, the feet in general are always a great place to rub medicine. They take such a beating during the day and throughout your life. You're just on them and working them all day, and they're in contact with the earth. And if you think about the posture of the human body, it's, in general terms, it's 6 foot by 1 foot, right? Or 5 foot, but it's kind of it's not the most intelligent, what is it, architecture, if you will, or geometry, but it's incredible. I mean, it's an incredible machine, right? And so the feet hold a lot of responsibility. That 1 foot, and actually specifically the ankle and the Achilles and all that. But so, in theory, in Chinese and so many, alternative medicines or medicines of other areas, they look at the feet and they see the foot and as a symbol or a metaphor for the entire body. So if you were to address the foot, all of the lines of electricity and conductivity are coming through the body that come through the foot. So you can address the stomach and the kidneys and the livers through the bottom of the foot. and that's the reason why the bottom of the foot is. And again, the other reason is it's so much of the bottom of your foot has created like a numbness to it after 40 or 50 years that it needs so much love to open it up, and you'll never OD on foot medicine. It just won't happen. It just won't happen. Feet need, it's just, where like that's the opposite. Foot medicine would be the opposite of putting something in your mouth. Okay?
Say more on that.
Just because it's relatively numb, where putting something in your mouth is just so sensitive to your, you're going to have a reaction of some sort because it's going to go right to your organs. And you're going to feel it.
Interesting.
You're going to feel it. Where your feet, like I said, could bathe in radical, potent plant medicine. And, after 50 years, what are you really going to do to your feet? Right? So it's a process.
Right.
It's a process. So, yeah, you'd have to bathe every single night. And those are the kind of self-healing. And we should be checking ourselves into places where, we can bathe our feet in plant medicine.
It's a beautiful idea.
For an hour. For an hour. If you're sitting for an hour. In plant medicine, and our masseuses should have so much plant medicine, where they don't have to rub people down. They can, they can, what is it, bask or what do they use for like food? You just.
Bask in your food and bathe yourself in plant medicine. I think it's actually a really brilliant idea. In fact, I'm even wondering if it could be used as what I would call transitional medicine, meaning that when you're transitioning out of the stress of the day, could you put it on the bottom of your feet and just take 10, 20 minutes and just to sit in a peaceful place before you go into your evening routine? And maybe you do the same thing in the morning. But you actually had told, I'd clued into something you had said when we were there, which is you put one of the salves on your face and then you go into meditation. And it's a beautiful way to use the plants to assist you in that spiritual healing. Is that just something you've intuitively come up with, or is there anything that we should know about the spiritual part of these plants and how they can really shift us not only on an energetic level, but on a spiritual level?
Yeah, well, like certainly our hydrosols. So we have a steam distillation of the spirit water of the plant. They're called hydrosols. And like our Tulsi hydrosol, we could spray on your face. That's going to be an awareness experience. It's a beautiful perfume, but also is like an antidepressant. It has a happiness vibe to it. And certainly the oils are gonna help with circulation, so that when you through meditation and breath work, you're only gonna drop in my opinion, in a deeper place by burning that sage stick or rubbing plant medicine on you. And all the plant medicine is a component. Like in my coaching practice, what I teach is and also practice is the 5 components, which is plant medicine, nutrition, and the plant medicine is going to call in, more watery foods, more slippery foods that are easy to digest. It's going to call, nutrition, herbal medicine, nutrition, it's going to call in the yoga, the stretching, the expansion of the physical body to be more, more postural and more in tune with Mother Nature in its posture. And then meditation and breath work. So all five of those, herbal medicine, in my opinion, being for me, it was the interceptor. It allowed me to intercept my nutrition. And once I got those under wrap, once I could get those under control, because I was out of control. And so I switched up my, pH. I got my alkalinity, flushed out and kind of under control. And then I was able to start moving into, my breath work and yoga. And I did it throughout the years, the yoga throughout the years. But it's tough to get into a yoga practice if you're 50 pounds overweight. I mean, it's tough.
Yeah.
So having, what the herbs do and the medicine does for people is they're kind of like I use the word interceptor. For me, it was that. It intercepted the trajectory I was on, and there was no stopping me. I mean, I was talking about losing weight and I was talking about changing, but chemically speaking, I was on a different trajectory.
Yeah. 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 And I love the idea of calling it in. That was so well said. And I think, a big summary of everything you're saying is with each move towards a healthier body, away from a polluted body, the body craves another move. And then it craves another move. And when we've become so disconnected from our body, when we go to get healthy, we don't, it's hard for us to intuitively know what we want. But using something as beautiful as Comfrey salve on the bottoms of your feet, or one of my favorite teas that you have is the green energy tea. Drinking that in the morning, and I feel like all of a sudden I know what's best for me. Whereas every other, like even a cup of coffee or getting up and rushing to my day, now I'm disconnected and I don't know what's best for me. So what I'm hearing you say is that the plants have a way of calling in the other pieces as you use them more frequently. Would that be accurate?
Yeah, I mean, so accurate. The foundation, you're talking about foundation, right? And versus like a compulsive being, right? Where you're just going from place to place to place. And, you might be like adding more money or adding more houses or making more friends. But it's like, what's the intention and are you truly in alignment? And so when you talked about those two products, Comfrey's for the bones. It's known as knit bone or warrior plant or the miracle plant. All three of those are other words known for Comfrey. And Comfrey's, it's how does it work? It helps calm the breath. It helps call in the hydration. Most times when you hurt your bones or break or crack a bone or tendon, it's because of dryness, and it could be dryness built up over a long period of time. It's relative dryness. So what you're doing is you're calling in massive amounts of hydration. The Comfrey will do that. It also brings in tons of calcium and phosphorus to really infuse into that bone. It's basically bone marrow, is what the Comfrey root mimics bone marrow. So to think that our planet and our world is so advanced, but when you break a bone, there's no bone medicine. Yet
it's so well said.
There's no bone medicine. Yeah. And they've had bone medicine for thousands of years. They've known of bone medicine. And we could be growing it everywhere. And we could have it, when children get injured. Children react to the Comfrey plant like, bing. It's amazing.
I bet
how children react to the Comfrey plant. Like you could stop and then the idea of like, how do you go from, break to cast? Like, is there something in between, Like give them some bone medicine and see if you can heal, right? Yeah. So Comfrey on the foot, is going to help. So now there's the idea of like, how supple can you get? The Comfrey, I love Comfrey. I use a lot of Comfrey. One with Comfrey. So I want to be supple, right? I want my bones and ligaments and everything to be just supple like a baby. I want to bounce. So that Comfrey's really going to help create that suppleness. And then you mentioned the green energy, which we could, also call like our green coffee, basically. We have coffee in there. And there's an area of like, a subject matter where, so much coffee is just grown in situations that are, monocropped and fertilized, and it's just toxic from the ground up. And then on top of that, it's roasted. And then after it's roasted, we brew it. So we double cook it. And then it becomes a pure, this extremely potent fruit.
Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful fruit becomes a pure acid drop through that process. And people aren't, coffee, it grows on trees. Why wouldn't you be able to, consume it? Yeah, consume it. But our green coffee is taken right off the tree and cured at 120 degrees, not roasted at all. And obviously, it's 100% organic. So, so the difference between that energy coming out of that coffee and that green energy is going to be so much more intentional and pure, and it's going to be, help you with, coffee. The premise of longevity, sustainability, those are the words to me that are the words of wisdom, right? Restoration, right? These ideas of I'm tired, I'm going to go drink a cup of coffee. No, I'm tired, I'm going to go take a nap, right?
Right.
And I'm going to figure out ways to restore myself, right? But going further into the abyss. So that terminology, that language is where, all of these herbs set the foundation for all that language and terminology and thought process and emotions that sort of hold that container. And as you're held in that container, you, again, as we just alluded to before, you're eating. It's easier to eat. It's easier to control your faculties, basically. Your faculties. When you're drinking acidic, coffee, you don't know where it comes from. Your faculties are all over the place.
Yeah.
And that's just not okay. Right?
Yeah.
We
So well said.
Yeah, we need, and that's from a young age. We need to teach our children how to control their faculties. We ourselves as adults need to get a handle on our, basically our mental and emotional beings, and then, what level can we get to as far as control? And the herbs really help support that awareness of our thoughts and emotions.
Yeah. So agreed. Well, I just love the way you speak of plant medicine, because I feel like, and experiencing your farm also sort of solidified for me the power of the right plants grown in the right soil, in the right environment, and how healing that can be. So I just really appreciate you. I appreciate what you all have done there. I do want to end on two of my favorite questions this season. And I really have been focused on teaching people self-love this year. Especially women, as we go through our menopausal journey, we need more self-love. So do you have a self-love practice it sounds like everything you do at the farm is self-love, but do you have a self-love daily practice? And my second part of that question is, what do you think your superpower is that you bring to the world?
I did hear these questions before, but I hadn't come up with an answer, so I'm on the spot.
It's even better. It's even better.
So, my self-love practice at this moment, because it does change, I am loving my meditation. It's for me, it's a way that I close my eyes and I work on the two things that are basic principles of being a human being, and that is breath and posture. And as I work on my breath and my posture, I fall into alignment with me and the universe. And it's just it's so simple. Right now I'm staying at my parents', and I got like this little space, and I got like this corner sticking out to my left, and I got the window light, and it's so uncomfortable. And when I meditate and I just close my eyes and I don't see nothing, and I'm just going fully. I'm going fully within. I can't play the victim.
Yeah.
It's not raining. The gym didn't close down. The blah blah blah. I got no story. So I can just close my eyes. I have full control, and it's just a process in which, I can also. It's so simple, and it's so powerful. It is the essence for me of being, being more and doing less, and that is the essence of that practice for me. And it's taken me many years to actually be able to do it. And
love that.
Yeah. So that's the self-love, although I do a lot of other things too. But that's my day-to-day.
I love it.
And then what was the other question? Was
superpower.
What I can bring to the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, at the moment, I'm appreciating this voice right now. I actually had a sore throat last week talking to my daughter. I'm like, I don't know what it is. I got this podcast coming up, and my throat chakra is all kind of like, what's going on here? And am I doing this to myself, or Am I nervous? What is it? So the idea of sharing, my wife and I have been on a journey, an amazing journey. That's definitely I could say we've earned some stripes on the farm, and everyone on the farm,
Yes.
everyone on the farm has just been crushing it over the years. We've
Yeah.
seen so many people come and go that have just given so much, and there's so many amazing farmers on Kauai. And in any case, my wife and I have a lot to share, and we're excited to do so. And the plant medicine, but also our experiences and education. So, at the moment, it would be the experience that we've had, and be able to share it, and hopefully, provide some knowledge for people to help heal themselves.
I think that is such a profound answer, because experience doesn't get enough credit in this world, life experience. And I would agree, the moment I stepped on your farm, not only could I tell there was a vibrational difference, but you and I chatted about this when I was there. It was like, I was drawn to you. I was drawn to your energy and what you were sharing. And your energy today is an accumulation of all of your experience. So I love that. That very well said. And I loved this conversation. And it makes me want to go downstairs into my kitchen and start rubbing all your products all over me again. So where do people find you so that they can experience this as well?
Yeah, so the hub is at KauaiFarmacy.com. So we are on the Garden Island of Kauai, and that's Kauai, Kauai. And then pharmacy is with an F, so FARMACY.com. And that's the hub, and we have Instagram at KauaiPharmacyT.com, and we have a YouTube that has lots of years of videos of us on the farm being quirky, and also us doing some pretty cool videos of education as well. So there's lots to learn on our YouTube. And yeah, those are the basics. Those are the big spots. And then we do have visits to the farm. If you ever come to Kauai, you can visit the farm at the moment. And you can come for tea, and we have a retail store there as well. So we have an apothecary, if you will, there. But on our website, this is all explained, and all of our products are on our website. And there's a ton of information. We blog every week. We have a newsletter that comes out every week, and that's on whatever the topic of the week is on the farm. So whatever's growing real well, or if we're making a new product, we just launched a new chili pepper flake from the farm, which is kind of like what you got, what you put on your pizza, but it's beyond next level. Chili pepper flake. It's amazing.
Love it.
So that's what the newsletter is about. And we do a lot of effort in that. Everything we do has a lot of intention all the way from. So
you can tell. And I really recommend people go visit you, because that will solidify everything that you learned today. So Doug, thank you so much. I appreciate on your vacation in Boca Raton for you taking the time. And I like to bring guests and products that I know are going to move the needle on my followers' health, and yours is absolutely in the upper, end of what I think everybody should be experiencing. So I just want to thank you for showing up and for everything you're doing, because you are making a difference in the world. And I'm just so grateful for you and your whole team. So please pass this on to your wife, the team. It's just magic there. So grateful and appreciate you so deeply.
Well, thank you, Mindy, so much for this opportunity. It is a huge opportunity to serve and help people, and just for the support. So, the support of what we're doing, and the support of the gardeners and the alchemists. These are people that have dedicated themselves to this space. And ideally, this becomes, the next evolution of what's hot. And the support in real time is what's going to make that and education, right? So experiencing it, we all experience it, we all know it, and then we can spread that education accordingly.
Amazing. Thank you, Doug.
Right, thank you so much.
Okay. So, I actually couldn't see you, Doug. You were sort of frozen the whole time, which was fine. but I don't know if there will be in the recording, Brock. What do you think of that?
His end says that it was uploading fine, so I'm hoping that Zencaster or Squadcast was capturing it. We just weren't seeing it.
Okay.
We don't always see exactly what it's capturing, so.
If not, guys, I have the video.
Oh, perfect.
Okay.
Perfect. Great.
Can you send all of that to me? I'll put my email address in the chat here.
My screen was blank the whole time.
Was it?
I couldn't see anyone.
Oh, you should have waited.
Should have waited.
I know, and I was just seeing you frozen.
Yeah, me
So
too.
I just kept going with it.
That is
bizarre. Sorry about that, guys.
Yeah, no worries.
Okay, I just put my
Doug-
email address in the chat. If you can just send all the files, the video, the audio, everything to that email address, that would be amazing.
Okay.
Perfect. Thank you.
And thank you, Doug. We will be back to Kauai next year at some point, so we'll make sure every time we come back, we dip in and see you all, because I just love what you're doing there.
You were brilliant, Mindy. Thank you for bringing that out.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
Thank
yeah,
you.
It felt really good, so thank you.
It's gonna be, yeah, and actually, I will tell you,